Welcome. It's your man, God of Dots. We back, man. Another show. Hope everybody had a very good weekend. Hope you are having a very good start to the week. Hey, Miss Murph, as always. Shout out to the one in the chat. Yeah, I had a very good weekend. Very fun and entertaining weekend. For those who are not into basketball, but it is March Madness. It is tipped off. I want to say first four play tonight. I think the first four play tonight, and the actual tournament starts on Thursday. Normally in years past, I've done brackets and kind of gave predictions on who I got going into it, but I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. It's hard to kind of keep up with college basketball. As a whole, I'll watch a game here or there, but I couldn't tell you who's on the All-American team. I can't tell you who's favorite for the Naismith Award or the Wooden Award. Like I just can't do it. I just enjoy the basketball. So this tournament, I'm not going to do a detailed breakdown on who's might get upset and all the other stuff. Like I'm just going to enjoy the tournament. But tonight's episode, I'm going to start it off with a little bit of NFL news, a little bit of NFL commentary, and then I'm going to get into the commentary as far as the NBA is concerned. Yeah, Miss Murph, this I'm telling you what's going on. If you haven't watched Brianna's show, check these folks community. You got to watch it. It is very, very, very interesting to watch. If you get time, it's a very interesting watch. But anyway, let's stay focused on the business at hand here. I'm not trying to deviate, but a little bit of NFL news came down this past weekend. Justin Fields traded from the Chicago Bears to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm going to say this: Chicago. I know Chicago with the number one pick has many been expected them to take Caleb Williams, number one, and rightfully so. He's a hell of a talent quarterback out of USC. He's projected to be the number one. Has been projected to be the number one player. So they kind of cleared the deck. I like what Chicago has kind of done. I wish they would have done this with Justin Fields. I mean, I'm all about, hey, if you're going to have a young quarterback, put weapons around him and then make a determination around year 3 or 4 and see what you really have. But I thought you just brought in a wide receiver last season in DJ Moore, who the Panthers traded to you to jump up in the draft last year. You finally get him a receiver worth something, and he's only got 1 year with the guy. Here it is. Listen, Miss Murphy, it's not. I'm not invested in the storyline. It's just you have to if you don't watch any other show over there, make sure you watch a replay of her show, because it's very, very, very telling. Very telling. When you get an opportunity, then it's very telling. I'm pretty sure that somebody will be talking about it tonight because it was a very telling show, from our space. But I'm just going to leave it at that. But back to the news and why we here. I felt Chicago, and I talked about this all through the season. I don't think Justin Fields was a perfect marriage with the system they were trying to run. He had his moments where he felt, you could tell with the performances that he put on. At times he felt comfortable, and a lot of times he didn't. But Chicago is doing. They made a mistake with Justin Fields as far as putting talent around him, surrounding him with playmakers, and that's how you have to do with the rookie quarterback. Put weapons around them, and then you can make a real honest assessment of what you have at that position. I think it was. And I'm not a Bears fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought it was unfair. You didn't give him good running backs. You were slowly building the offensive line. You didn't have any weapons on the outside. The defense wasn't like Chicago had a dominant defense. And I think too much was put on his plate. Now Chicago's learned from their mistakes, are setting up Caleb Williams to have success early. And this is my opinion, to have success early. When you look at what they've done, you still have DJ Moore, incumbent wide receiver 1, but then you bring in a guy who has been a number 1 in his entire career and had a hell of a season last year. You bring in Keenan Allen, trading getting him from the Chargers. So now he has two guys who are legit. I mean, legit. Maybe not creme de la creme, but a legit number one receivers that have been number one receivers in offenses. And you bring those, you bring a Keenan Allen in, you bring in a DeAndre Swift, who had in my opinion, Eagles fans, I think he underutilized him. I think he should have been a bigger part of the offense last year. But you bring in a guy, DeAndre Swift, very talented running back. Had in my opinion, wasn't used correctly in Philadelphia, but everything is set up. You have made changes to the offensive line, so I think Caleb Williams is walking into a very good situation out there in Chicago. Now, I will say this. And as much as I'm sitting here talking about how well Chicago has set up their future draft pick for success, I think Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is, to me, so far, and at this point, I know a lot was made about guys, signing here and signing there. When you look at what Pittsburgh has done to revamp not only their present, but potentially the future of the franchise, for nothing. Think about it, for nothing. You signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal, $1.2 million. Russell Wilson had in my opinion, had a good year in Denver. Didn't lead to a lot of wins. It wasn't a happy marriage between the head coach and the quarterback. But you bring in Russell Wilson for $1.2 million, 1-year deal, no long money, tied up to him. That kind of left Kenny Pickett in limbo, but I think you bring in Justin Fields, a guy who is, in my opinion, is more talented than Kenny Pickett, has had more success thus far in the NFL. And I think with Pittsburgh, to get Justin Fields for nothing. It was talk coming into this off season that the Bears were looking for a second, possible third, for Justin Fields, to get him for a conditional 5th round pick. Not only do you have your quarterback of the present, who can go out there, still have some pieces out there. I think Pittsburgh still make some moves as far as the draft is adding a couple more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. But if it doesn't work out with Russell, you have Justin Fields, a guy who's still young, has starting experience, is a very dynamic player. If you put him in the right system, I think what Pittsburgh's got going on is the right culture for Justin Fields. Excuse me for a second. Sorry, had to give me a sip of water. But I think the coach that you have there in Pittsburgh is going to set Justin Fields up for success, even if he's not the starting quarterback next year. Like I said, it's all on Russell Wilson. What everybody wins in that situation, and in my opinion, right now, biggest winner of the offseason for the NFL, I gotta give it. To the Pittsburgh Steelers, this for the simple fact, you got two guys who started at quarterback in last year, had fairly good season. It wasn't like Justin Fields was trash. He had some bad moments, had some bad games. Russell Wilson still went out there and put up 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. But you bring these guys in for $1.2 million in a 5th round draft pick. You can't. What other? I can't recall another situation where you bring in two guys who started and weren't like over the hill. They weren't trash. Justin Fields could start for a lot of teams. Russell Wilson could start for a lot. You bring both of these guys in, you immediately not only upgraded with the Wilson signing, but then you upgraded even further by bringing in Justin Fields. I got to look at the Steelers as winners right now of the all season. Just for the moves that they made at the quarterback position. I don't think it can be disputed. I don't think it can be understated to bring in two very good quarterbacks, very good, who have won games and have been dominant in games. I got Steelers, winning free agency so far. But that's just me. I know some Eagles fans are like, well, we got Saquon Barkley. It's you lost DeAndre Swift, you replaced him with Saquon. It is an upgrade, but it's not that drastic of an upgrade when you go from Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph to having Russell Wilson and Justin Fields as your quarterbacks. It's not even, to me, it's not even close. Sorry, Miss Murphy. Sorry. I know you Eagles fans thought y'all won with all the signings and money that you spent. I got the Steelers winning the offseason so far. But as we move on into the NBA content, I know I did a show on this. Speaking of shows, before I forget, Gator Girl, remind me on Thursday's show because you know me, I can be absent-minded. I'll forget. Y'all know how I am, especially when we get towards Friday. We will be doing a kind of continuation on last Freestyle Friday show where we'll be talking about the situation in Florida. She did leave a comment. Appreciate that. Did leave a comment. She wanted to kind of do a part two because you know she's down there in Florida and you know it's a lot going on as far as the situation. I'm gonna look into it. But you know, I just want to kind of keep that as far as shows. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. He's a Steelers fan. I know they are. I mean, Steelers fans have got to be riding high. You know, you had a winning season last year. You have a competent defense. We'll see if TJ Watt can stay healthy for the year. I mean, but you upgraded massively at the quarterback position. I mean, and as tough as that division is, I think the only thing that was kind of really holding back the Steelers from leapfrogging the Browns and possibly leapfrogging Cincinnati is the play at the quarterback position because Pittsburgh has a better D than Cincinnati. I think Cleveland has a better D than Pittsburgh, but it's not that big of a gap. I mean, it's like, you know, marginal at best. You know, one team's got Myles Garrett, the other team's got TJ Watt. I mean, it's marginal at best, but I think, you know, with the difficulties that Cleveland had on offense last year, I don't know what I'm gonna get, but I know, you know, I think Pittsburgh when we do the preview for the upcoming season, I'm thinking Pittsburgh, you got to put them in the mix for the division. Because I think Baltimore, with some of the roster losses that they had, I'm curious to see what they do in the draft. OBJ is a free agent. Does he come back? I don't know. You know, they bring in Derrick Henry, but you know, Baltimore is a dominant run game. It's not like you guys are going to be running 50 times a game. Let's keep it a buck. I might, you know, I was high on Pittsburgh last year coming into the season. I had one as my dark horse team out in the AFC. We'll talk about that. That's further down the road. But I did a show some time ago when I was talking about the new face of the NBA. Who is ready to step up and take over that mantle? LeBron James is winding down in his career and still playing it at a very good level. Same thing with Steph Curry. Same thing with Kevin Durant. It's the time when the NBA needs to be looking for, you know, the next face of the NBA. This league, ever since Magic and Bird burst onto the scene back in the 80s, this league has been carried by superstars. You've had great teams. Shout out to San Antonio Spurs. Shout out to the Pistons teams. But this league has always been carried by names and stars. It's the names on the marquee: Magic versus Bird, Mike versus Magic, Kobe versus LeBron, Steph versus LeBron, LeBron versus KD. This is always about having the big name on the marquee. And I think right now, what you're seeing in the NBA, as far as some of these teams that are on the rise and running away from the pack, I'm looking at, you know, it's almost time. It's almost time. But like, who wants to step up? And like I said, I did a show on this a while back, and it's you know, I've made the argument for, you know, well, people have made the argument for Jason Tatum, but you know, to me, he's not, you know, until you kind of cross over and be big time when it matters most. I don't think you can have Jason Tatum be the face of the NBA. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Ant-Man Edwards with Cat being out. Is he ready to step up? But here's a sneaky one that is kind of nobody's really kind of talking about as far as, you know, getting ready to take over the position. Have you guys been watching the Pelicans? And namely, have you been watching Zion Williamson? Zion is looking in shape. It's been reported that since December, he's lost about 25 pounds. Pelicans right now are sitting in the 5 slot in the Western Conference. He has the charisma. He's already been on the cover of an NBA 2K game. He is electric to watch. It is, he puts butts in the seats. He puts butts in the seats. And I know the NBA wants him. Um, him and a couple, but they're looking at him as being the face of the NBA. And the argument has always been with Zion: can he stay healthy? Can he stay in shape? Because we know when he's out there and he is your unique athlete to be that big, to move that fast, and to do the things that he could do at his size. And now that he's taking his diet a little bit more seriously, he's starting to get in shape. Tell you, look at some games. You put this on your calendar. Put them games on your calendar for the Pelicans. Watch what they got going on there. Nobody's really talking about it because New Orleans is not sexy as far as the NBA is concerned. We'll talk about another team that's not sexy but has a guy that could be in the conversation if the season kind of goes like it may be going for them. There's another guy that's in a smaller market. We'll talk about him, but Zion, I think, is in prime position if the Pelicans can make a deep playoff run, and this goes for all the young teams and young players I'm talking about. If they can make a deep playoff run, and when I mean a deep playoff run, I'm at the minimum, a game 7 of round 2, a game 7 of round 2. If these teams can make a run to at least a game 7 of round 2, we might be crowning the new face of the NBA. I don't think Luka Doncic is it, even though I think he's a hell of a player. Will always be in the MVP conversation. Same thing with Yoke. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. But I think the same thing with Yoke. I think the NBA is happy to have the Denver Nuggets doing what they're doing, but they don't look at Yoke as the guy that, is going to sell tickets, going to draw in sponsors, is going to bring us that big money. I'm looking at Ant. What's going? Damn, Triggs. Triggs, you ain't shit. Whoo. We'll talk about it in the other space, but god damn it. Damn. Yeah, focus. Hey, oh hell, hey, y'all. Okay, focus. Your dots, not drama. Your dots, not drama. But okay. So yeah, Anthony Edwards, I'm liking what he's doing. I'm liking how he's elevating this game with Cat being out. Like I said, these teams have got to make a run into at least a game 7 of the semifinals to be in that conversation. A guy that I didn't put on the thumbnail, but is also included in the conversation, and I know a lot of people don't watch them. They're not really on TV. Oklahoma City is not a mark. Oklahoma City has the best record in the Western Conference, and they're starting to pull away. They're starting to get a little bit of separation, and you got to look at the star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Is he primed to be, in the real conversation for face of the NBA? I mean, for a guy that puts up 30 a game, plays the defense that he plays, and your team is winning. He has a personality that translates to sponsors, that translates to the media. I like Shai, but I put him in that conversation with Ant. I put him in that conversation with Zion. You guys got to make a deep playoff run. If you're not, if you're one and done, if you're out in the first round, I don't think we can, start having that conversation about you. I know Ja Morant is, for lack of better terms, is got to kind of build his stock back up. I know at one point the NBA was looking at him or Zion to be the face of the NBA, and of course his issues, and of course him being out with an injury is kind of, he's faded away to obscurity to a degree, but these young guys are ready. I think the NBA is going to be this postseason more so than this team's chasing the championship, which is I think this postseason people are going to be really watching who's ready to take over the mantle, who's ready to step up and be the throne, be the face of the NBA, be the marketing who lead the next generation. I mean, because the older generation, even though they're still playing well, still playing at a high level, is the sun is setting on their careers. The sun is setting on their careers, and I'm curious to see who makes. We'll talk about that as we get closer to the playoffs. But who is primed to make a run? I know the NBA would love Jason Tatum to be the face of the NBA. Light skinned dude, plays for the Boston Celtics, historic franchise, is very media friendly. Can sell tickets, is got the look that a sponsor would love. None of the red flags that may come with other players. But if he doesn't, get to the finals, I'm not even saying Boston has to win the championship. If he's able to get to the finals and put up a respectable performance, even in a loss, I think the NBA will be looking at him to be pushing him and promoting him as the new wave, leader of the new wave. But if he goes to the final again and put on the kind of job that he put on against the Golden State Warriors again, and you've seen it in big games this season. Shout out to Speak, and shout out to Unc for coming through on those bets. Told y'all ass. But you've seen it in big games this season. He's come up smaller than mini-me in a lot of these clutch situations, and especially when the games are big and tight, he doesn't really rise to me. This is just me. This is my observation. This is what I see when he's out there. He doesn't really rise to the occasion. He doesn't take control of the moment. And I think that's what's been holding him back, and that's what's been holding the NBA back from really crowning him as the next wave. He comes up small when it's primetime games against what's going on, Gator Girl. Gator Girl, remind me on Thursday, because I got them forget, because I'm in my petty bag. Sometimes I'll be forgetting some other stuff, but I do want to do a part 2 to the Freestyle Friday show we did last time. In regards to the Florida situation, I do want to do a part 2 to that. Thanks for the suggestion. It's still roll goddamn tide. Still roll goddamn tide. But back to Jason Tatum, I just don't. He's got to go to the finals, and he's got to have one of those LeBron James performances in a loss for me to be like, yeah, you that dude, you ready to step up and take over and lead the next wave of players in the NBA. He just don't have that dog, I'm waiting to see it. I think the NBA fans have been waiting to see it, considered this how their seasons have ended, where he's not been able to close out the deal. I mean, it took everything in him to come back against the Miami Heat team that had no business, and let's be honest, had no business even getting up on them like that. It took everything they had just to get to a game 7. And for lack of better terms, it wasn't like Jason Tatum to me, and this is my opinion. I think Jaylen Brown was the best player in that series. And every time I see a big game against a big team, a marquee game on the schedule, it seems like Jaylen Brown is the one that comes up clutch, comes up big time. And you can't find Jason Tatum. You just can't find him. I mean, but that's just me. That's just me. Hey, if you're a Celtic fan, if you're in your feelings about what I said, I mean, it is what it is. I'm more than ready to make a bet with any one of y'all. Any one of y'all. The next big game comes up, because I'm just not sold on Jason Tatum being that dude. I'm just not sold. If you look at some of the NBA MVP rankings right now, he's running 4th, 5th. I know. Yoke right now is, health permitting, is going to win another MVP award just because Embiid is out. It's been talks of Embiid, working his way back to get on the court. 76ers, you might want to, if you want to get them healthy and call it a wrap. You're not coming out the East. Why put Embiid in a situation like that? Why risk further injury this season, which is pretty much a lost season? And this is my opinion. You can ride with it or not. I think it's just a lost cause right now to be. I mean, you're barely holding on to the 6th seed in the East. The way you're kind of trending. You might be in the playing to. Don't bring Embiid back. Just get the man healthy. Get him 100%. Make some improvements to the roster. and be looking forward to next season. Don't do it. Don't do it. But hey, if Philly, yeah, Philly fans is gonna be what Philly fans is. God forbid, he gets cleared, um, and they're gonna be like, just run him out on the floor thinking they got a shot at the title. Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, and I like Embiid's game, but you sometimes you gotta rein in your star players, man, and not let them do more harm to themselves long term, because this it's a business at the end of the day in Philadelphia. I think for the for your future, go ahead and sit Embiid. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Just go ahead and sit them. Let us behind work out, get in the game shape. If you want to have him at practice, it's fine. I just wouldn't put him in any live action. No games. Like, no, I wouldn't do it. I mean, because you're not coming out the East. I mean, and that's being honest with your prospects. You're not coming out the East, and I think with a healthy Embiid, we'd be having a much different conversation at this point of the season. But I mean, you guys are doing a respectable enough job in the Eastern Conference to still be holding on to that sixth spot. But you only have game up on the Pacers. You only a game up on a couple other teams. Don't do it. Don't do it. As always, let me get my behind up out of here because I got to go be petty somewhere. As always, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Showing love to the lives and all of that kind of other stuff. Every view counts. I'm always humble. So Thursday, we'll be back Thursday. Kind of, talking. I might talk about a little college basketball. Because it is tournament time. But I if you missed the start of the show, I can't. I just watch the games to be watching the games. I can't follow teams like I used to because guys just don't stay in school long enough. Some of these, most of these guys that have talent that you may want to build a team around, they're only there for 1 year. So I can't get excited about those kind of teams. And you see the teams that typically have the best records now in college basketball are the guys that have players to stay a little bit longer. Those maybe not as talented as other teams, but continuity means a lot in college basketball. But like I said, I'm just going to be watching the games, enjoying the show. Damn, keep how you. I forgot you do tick pick and soul 6 times. Yes, I did see that. Get it. Well, think about it, Gator girl. When you look at when you think about it like this, who's the most famous college basketball player right now? I mean, you can make an argument that both of them, the most, the top two right now are female players. Angel Reese is a household name. Caitlin Clark is a household name. If you're not really watching college basketball like that and you're not really following it, you wouldn't know who the top male basketball players are at the collegiate level. You just don't. You just don't. And Angel and Caitlin, like, those are the top two. No, when you talk about college basketball players that people would know if they had the name, those would be the top two. Those will be. And thing about women's college basketball is, with those two star players along with other star players, I mean, and it seems to be more parity on the women's side of things, as far as like, it's not super team. I know South Carolina is undefeated and looking to finish the season undefeated, but they've had challenges. They've had some close games throughout this season. I think the women's tournament is going to be must-see TV. I think it's a good thing for them. We'll see if women's college basketball can capitalize on the notoriety of having. I think Caitlin Clark is already declared she's going to the draft. I'm not sure about Angel Reese situation. I'm not sure if she's declared, but United Sports Purpose. Yeah, thanks, Keith. Well, since you here, Keith, let me kind of deviate just a little bit, y'all, before I close out the show. It's I'm gonna say that. Back, women's college basketball is going to be must see TV. I got South Carolina running the table. I got South Carolina running the table, but I do think um, Iowa's going to make some noise. I think LSU is going to make some noise. It's a couple of other teams. UConn is always kind of in the mix. Women's college basketball is going to be must see TV. I'm curious to see who comes out the pack. And like I said, with the men's game, if you're not watching like that, you don't know who the best players are. You don't know these dudes. I think um, men's college basketball is being marketed a lot differently now because you don't have those um, guys, those superstar players staying long term in college. You think about it, is when you watch the commercials for these games, it's always number one Duke against number three North Carolina. It's don't really focus on the players because it's like we got to focus on the team, focus on the university, the brand. But women's sports, you're starting to see individual players getting singled out as far as advertisers. But I think it's a very good look for women's college basketball. But let me get my behind up out of here. It's like I said, it's always a pleasure. Make sure you tune in. Thursday we will be doing a Freestyle Friday show over here, and unfortunately, I will be doing a show in the other space because I got a Cheshire cat to address. Only the way I know how. But anyway, end you off with the phrase that pays over here. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.